Hi everyone and welcome to Stamp with Angela. I'm Angela Palmer and I'm looking forward to crafting and sharing with you today. So thanks for joining me, whether you're joining this live on either Facebook or YouTube or watching the recording later. I appreciate you being here. Please let me know where you're from and when you're watching, whether it's now or later. Appreciate you being here. So welcome to Sheila. Glad that you can join in today. Even though you are in hospital, appreciate you being here. Bit of a change of scene and things for you. Think about some crafting, which will be nice. Hope you're doing okay. So today I'm going to be sharing with you about the watercolor pencils. So I really enjoy using the watercolor pencils for coloring. I go through times where I haven't used them for a while and then I bring them out, and I used them recently for my coffee and cards class. And then this week it's school holidays. I've had a kids class and the kids always enjoy doing some coloring and things. So I've used them for that as well. It's just, quite therapeutic to do colouring. Then obviously we've got different mediums for colouring. We've got the stamping blends, which are great, but the watercolour pencils are good too. So I'm going to show you today two different ways that you can colour with them. One, they are watercolour pencils, so one is using watercolour, and then the other one is the blender pens. Again, something I go through a stage of using a lot, then haven't used for a while, and then I bring it out again. So I hope today's creations and tips with using the watercolor pencils gives you some ideas with your card making as well. And today I'm going to use the wonderful Spotlight on Nature set. So this came out in the new annual catalogue, and I even got it earlier as part of Onstage in March, an event for demonstrators. It was part of a class that I got to do, and I love the set. I've been using it quite a lot, so hopefully you're not sick of it, but I really like it. So there's the stamps, and then the coordinating dies are actually quite different. They're circle dies, but they really add to your piece and things. So looks like some of you are here now, so that's great. Please remember to comment, ask questions. I will do my best to answer as we're going, but if I miss anything, I will answer later on, or perhaps you're watching the recording later and I'll answer your questions then. All right, so let's have a look at my craft table and we'll get started. Here we go. All right. So this is the Spotlight on Nature stamp set. So in particular, today we're using this flower stamp and then optional butterfly. But there's a couple of expressions, background stamps, and this beautiful leaf stamp as well. So I've used this a lot. Found it really good to use. Okay, so I'll show you a few cards and things that I've made, and then we'll make a couple with you to show you, how you can utilize it as well. There is a die set that goes with this, and I don't think I left it out handy. Let's have a quick look. Actually, I did. It's a little bit messy, but I'll just show you the dies that go with it as well. There's no dies that cut out the images as such, but there's these cool circle shapes. So there's they come on two cards. Let's move that out the way. And basically 4 in each design of different, note that doesn't coordinate with that. So, or is it 3 of each? Let me check. No, they don't coordinate either. But anyway, so lots of different circles. Oh, there it is. So there we go. Variety of sizes, so you can use them individually or pair them up, and they're quite cool to use. If I remember, I'll show you at the end some other cards using them. But I love those dies. Let's move them out the way for now. All right, so back to our stamp set and using this particular stamp set. So what I started off with coffee and cards last week on Tuesday was making this note card. So a fairly simple design. So the note cards are a bit smaller and come with the envelopes. They're pre-scored, perfect for coffee and cards. And this is what we made colouring it with the pencils. Then I've made a slightly bigger version. So this is what the kids were doing for their class this week. Yesterday, they got to make a card like that. So you can just see comparison-wise the different size. So that one's got no butterfly. You could put a butterfly, just move it over, stamp it first as well. With this one, we've stamped directly on the card. This one we've added later. This is a retired punch, but it's a great one for the kids to use for their sentiments and things because they can stamp it. Doesn't matter if it's not straight, and then it's a good size for cutting out. Another card, similar kind of design. And then I've got one more which is different again, and this is using the watercolor paper because we're using the watercolor pencils. And I've used half a sheet of the watercolor paper. So size wise, it was too small for that, but too big for that. So I kind of did it off center. And that shows what it's like with watercolor on watercolor paper and things. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to make one like this with one technique using the standard size card. And then I'm going to vary my watercolor paper so it's watercolor paper, but more that size. All right, let's see if there's any other comments and things. No, just Sheila so far. Okay. So using just a normal sheet of white paper, I'll show you the watercolor pencils. Now my packs are a little bit older, so they've got slightly new colors in them now, but they come in a pack like this, and I actually keep some of mine, or one set of them, in a plastic container, which, where is it? It's out of reach at the moment. But you know, the cases that you put the these things in, I keep one set in there. Oh, here it is, like this. So I label it, and then they're quite easy to grab there. There's a couple of extras in there too, ready to go. All right, and so there's a couple of different assortments and things, so you can see what the current colors are. Now, when you're using watercolor pencils, when you're using watercolor or coloring, we're actually going to use the first one with the blender pens. So that is this, and they come in a pack of 3. But when you're using a liquid, you want to, how can I say this? You want to use 2 different kinds so that the ink doesn't blend. So when we stamp the image that we're coloring, we're going to use a permanent ink so that when we use watercoloring, it doesn't blend or smudge the black ink. So we're going to use Stays On for that, and you need to make sure with Stays On that you have a Stays On cleaner handy to clean off the stamp, because you can't just wash it the normal way, it won't just come off. So you may remember that if you use blends, because they're alcohol based, you want to use a water based ink, so they go together. But when you're using pencils which are water based, then you want to use a permanent ink. So if you kind of think of it like this, this is how the different inks kind of pair together. Right, you may get away watercolors with Memento, but there is the chance of some, you know, smudging, so we're going to not chance it. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to start with my butterfly in the corner up here, like so. That's not very good. Let's turn it over. We'll have a second chance. I should have probably re-inked it. It's been used a lot over the last few days, coffee and cards, and then my kids' class, and I haven't inked it up since. This is quite a big image, so kind of to do that and get it even, I actually find it easier to put it down, oops, try not to drop it, and ink it up this way. Then I can see that I've got a nice even coverage and I can stamp it. The good thing about this glass mat is it's a nice firm surface, so I can push down, because I find sometimes with the trestle tables, which I use for some of my classes, they sag and then it's not so good for stamping. But that is a nice crisp image, and like I say, I haven't re-inked this for coffee and cards and my kids' classes, and it's going strong. So it has a little clear cover over it. I've put a couple of dimensionals in there, so when it lifts off, it stays in the lid. I don't lose it. But then when the lid goes on, it's nice and airtight, so it doesn't dry up. So that's kind of a good thing to remember. All right, so colouring with pencils. Let me go over a couple of little tips. So I'm going to find a scrap piece of white. It literally is a scrap piece. Okay, so if I'm colouring with a pencil like so, you can kind of see the lines, right? So if I colour an image, you still see pencil lines. If I use a blender pen, now you need to make sure that these are clean, so just on a scrap of paper, make sure there's no colour in it. You can colour, even though it's stained red, it's clean. You can colour with this, and it just blends the colours together, and now you can't see the lines. Can you see the difference between that, where you can see the lines, and this, how the colour is nicely blended together? So, yeah, that's the advantage of this. So it's a special liquid. Obviously, it's not going to last forever, and you will eventually need to replace them, but it helps with colouring. So when you finish, just get rid of the colour. And there are 2 tips. So if you want to like colour in red, or in this case blue, and another colour flip over, you can do that as well. So a question from Sheila is, does Stays On stain your stamp? Yes and no. So if you clean it properly with Stays On cleaner, and you do it soon after you've used it, then the black colour will come off. If you don't clean it, well then yes, it would stain. I would say, I mean, I have used this. There's probably a little bit. Obviously, I haven't cleaned this one yet because I'm going to use it again in a second. If I remember, they haven't been used with Stays On at all. I would say maybe there's a slight staining, but it doesn't damage it. Just clean it really well. Photopolymer stamps, ideally, you don't want to use Stays On, or you want to be very careful. Definitely clean it as soon as you can. There is a risk on photopolymer stamps that it would probably stain, so just be aware of that. Okay, so let's colour this in. I'm going to bring up my chair. Often I stand in my lives, but when I'm colouring, I need to sort of concentrate a bit more. So some different greens. I quite like, if I can find it, the Granny Apple Green, because it's sort of a brightish green. So I'm going to colour that with my leaves. And I am going to, I'm not going to be too exact, because I'm going to kind of tidy it up with my blender pens. Don't want to be too rough either. So I'm not going right to the edges, and then it's up to you whether you want to sort of add a bit of colour to the stem or not. It might sort of go over the edges, but that's kind of part of the look. All right, we'll come in with our pen. Make sure that it is clear, good. And then very carefully blend those colours so it colours the leaf nicely and just blends, and no lines, as it were. Let just go over the stem. So how's that? So I don't know if you would think that this was actually pencils, because it doesn't look like sort of those lines and grades that you often see on pencil colouring. So there we go. So that is our leaves. Okay, then we've got to decide on flower colours. So let's have a couple of options and we'll see what you choose. So we've got a blue here. That's a balmy blue. We could do, what else could we do? We've got a fluty flamingo, which is quite nice. We've got the yellow, which I did on one before. I'm trying to see what other colours. We don't want a green. What's that? Oh, Calypso Coral, so a slightly lighter pink. Maybe a red. We could do red. Any of those appeal? Let's see if there's any comments about what colour you'd like. And then we probably want a bit of, oh, there's the yellow. I've got orange as well, pumpkin pie. So I'm going to do my butterfly some yellow and orange. So I'm just going to colour different parts, different colours, just to sort of add a bit of I don't know, variety, I guess the word is. And a bit of orange. I'm not sure what other colour I should use, but maybe we'll just keep it two-toned. You can see I am not being too exacting on this, because I'll tidy it up with my blending pens. There we go. How's that looking? A bit messy. All right, so let's do one colour first. So we'll do all the yellow. And it just makes it nice and soft. So this is using the watercolor pencils and then the blender pen. Let's flip it over for the other side, shall we? And we'll come in with our orange, like so. Sorry, I'm being a little bit quicker than normal just because we're on video, but give you an idea. So does anyone have water pencils? Do you use them? Do you like to use them? The good thing is, you know, you get a variety of colours and not too expensive, which is great. All right. So no other questions. So no one's commented on what colour for the flowers. Sheila, would you like to contribute? Any thoughts on colours for the flower? While you're doing that, I'll think about the sentiment so you can stamp directly on it. We'll do that, and then if I stuff it up, then we'll put a little piece on and cover it up. So because I'm not colouring this, I'm just stamping in black. I'm just going to use good old normal Memento, and I'm going to stamp my thanks, which is from the same set, down the bottom. All right, looks like I'm not getting any input on colouring the flowers, so I might have to make a decision myself. Just having a look at what we've got so far. So we've got yellow, blue, purple, red. Okay, let's go for something different. Let's try the Flirty Flamingo because I haven't done that one. Let's see what that looks like. Now, obviously, you can press quite lightly, or you could press a darker, and then you'd get a darker colour too. So I'm going to go a bit darker with this. You could, if you wanted, have different coloured flowers, which the kids liked to do a bit yesterday. So that was cool. So yeah, school holidays, I had the largest group that I've had in my home for a kids class before. There were 2 tables. I had one with 6 and one with 5. And my daughter Amanda, she was helping too, so that was good. So the younger kids sat together and they had one card to do. They did the colouring first, which was good. And then the older kids, I helped them with another card. And then we swapped. And then the last card, they were given a bit more choice on what they could do. I'll see if I can grab those and show you what they made. All right, so colouring these. So you do have to be a little bit careful with the tips. If you push too hard, it will actually go inside. You can pull them out, but just, you know, with any colouring things, just be careful and you'll be good. All right, so that's quite nice with the pink. It's a little bit subtle. If you find you want to add a bit more colour, you can sort of add a bit more with the pencil. Go back in, colour a bit more if we find we didn't go close enough to the edge or something like that. All right, there we go. So just remember to clean them at the end. Cool. Oh, Sheila said purple. Whoops. I'll tell you what, the next card will do purple. How's that? All right. Oh, Sonia's joining us too. Welcome, Sonia. Okay, so this card, you could leave it like this. I'm going to mount it. I like the black because it stands out. It just really kind of accentuates the colour, and then on a white base. But you'll see what I did for the other cards is I put a little bit of black baker's twine around it and then added some embellishments. So let's do that as well. So we'll do that before I stick it down. So I'm just going to get some of this, and what I'm going to do is just measure twice across with a bit extra. So 1, can you see? 2, cut that with my ribbon scissors, and grab some tape. Oh, Sonia wanted blue flowers. Oh dear, blue and purple. I think with the lives it takes a little bit longer to respond. So maybe my next card I can do some blue and some purple. All right, so that's going to go across there. So let's flip it over and just tape it. Oops, I'm getting pencil stuck. We'll make it easier, just tape it down like that. And like that. Whoops. You can pull the top off when you glue it down or just leave it as is. And then we're going to add some glue and put it on our card base. Okay. And then obviously we've got to add our bow, but we're going to add that afterwards. All right, so let's add this. So this is just your standard size card. So the black piece is 10 centimeters by 14.3. And then the next layer is 0.5 centimeter less. So it is 9.5 by 13.8. All right, so we're going to tie our bow. I do like adding a bit of thread or ribbon or twine or something to a card. Just adds to it. There we go. Might just trim that side slightly so they're a bit more even. There we go. Okay. So depending on what colours you've used can depend on what embellishments you have that you want to use. I'm just going to use some rhinestones because that's fairly neutral. Whoops, there goes my chair. Fairly neutral. So remember, odd numbers are good. Oops, which way around are they? Here. Is there a big one? I've got a slightly bigger one here. So let's go with that. We'll do sort of in a triangle kind of shape. This one does not want to come up. Come here. Let's go for that one. You're not cooperating at all today. Sticking to me, but not where I want it. Okay, let's do that and that. And one more. All right, so just use whatever embellishments that you've got that coordinate with the colors that you've used. All right, let's put that there. There we go. Then we've got to put it on our card base. So Stampin' Up! Have two different kinds of white. We've got standard white, which you get 40 sheets, A4 size. And that's good. That's what I use the top layer. So that's good for stamping and layering up and that kind of thing. So that's 40 sheets. And then we also have thick basic white, which is what my card base is. And that's great for card bases because it's a little bit more sturdier. Now, because I'm using a white card base, I don't need to put anything inside like an extra layer. I could perhaps stamp a butterfly or something just to tie it all together. That would look quite nice. But there you go. So that's my first card. So that's the standard size card and what? Standard size card and using the blender pens with the watercolor pencils. Okay, so for my next card, I'm going to show you how to use it using the water painters. So they come in a pack of 3, like so. So you've got a very thick tip, not good for watercoloring, good for backgrounds. And then 2, I should show you them all, shouldn't I? 3 different sizes. So they come in a pack like that, 3 different sizes. Today we're going to use the littlest one to do our watercoloring. So it's going to start off the same with stamping. So this is watercolor paper, so it's slightly smaller than half. So I've made it the same size as what my coffee and cards one. It's a bit bigger than what I used on that one. Some people like things off center and things. I probably personally prefer that straighter look. What do you like? So back to Sheila's question. So for this one here, because I use the blender pens, I can just use standard paper. So I've just used standard basic white cardstock. Okay, not thick, just standard. You don't need to use any special paper when you're using these, as long as you don't obviously keep going over and over and over it. But now, because I'm going to use the water painters, I am going to use watercolor paper. All right, I'm not going to worry about the butterfly this time. I'm just going to stamp my flowers. Now, I was thinking I could clean it in here, but I need like a paper towel or something, and I didn't bring one in, which was a bit silly. Okay, beautiful. All right, and let's just, while we're here, we might as well stamp our thanks on it too. So again, I'm not watercoloring this, so I can just use normal Memento Black. So I would say I use Memento Black most of the time. Let's try and get this straight, shall we? That's pretty good. Memento most of the time, it's easier, quicker to use for cleaning. But then when you're using watercolor painters, then use the stays on. Okay, so we had a request for purple and blue. So we're going to do that on this one, and we'll use a different green. So that is the blue, and the gorgeous grape is our purple. So So let's see what that looks like, as long as I can find it and it hasn't run away. I've got a whole collection of pencils here, and of course the color I want is not in front of me. Where is purple? Oh, it's still in the box. That's why we can't find it. No, that's cherry cobbler. Okay, I had purple out ready to use. Yes, here it is. Okay, so let's do the big one in purple, which is Gorgeous Grape. And we'll do the other ones in blue, just to be different. So now I am going to very carefully use the watercolor, or the water from the water painter, and color with it. And I'll stop halfway so you can see the difference of how it's looking. All right, so the left side has been watercolored, and you can see the lines and things on the right hand side of just the pencil. So it definitely softens the look and makes it look really nice. But I suggest when you're coloring something quite intimate like this, that you use the smallest brush. All right, how is that? That's pretty. And let's go with our balmy blue for our other two flowers. I'm not sure if you'd normally mix the colors, but you know, there's no right or wrong. So we'll do that. Make it a bit darker, go a bit heavier, and we'll do our little one in blue as well. So we do need to clean that. So finding a scrap piece of paper, here it is. Get rid of no color, excellent. Now very intricately color with the blue and soften that color, and the same with this one. So what do you prefer, do you think? Do you prefer using watercolor paper and watercolor pencils, or do you like the ease of the blender pens? There we go. How's that? All right. That's quite cool, eh? You wouldn't think that that's a pencil. Okay, so let's go with our green. So we've got Old Olive or Garden Green. What have we got? So that's our Old Olive. So I might try Garden Green, and then you can see what that is like. So it's slightly more of a, not as bright as our Granny Apple Green, but it's, I don't know, it's a different green. So we're just going to colour in, and then we'll come in very delicately with our pencil. I'm just going to go over the top so we get a green colour stem, like so. Okay, here we go. Oh, missed one. Can you see the one I missed? What do I prefer? I probably prefer using the blender pens because I don't need any special paper, and I don't know, you can be a little bit more accurate. It's a little bit trickier with the watercolor pen, the water painters. I do like water painters for creating a background, but not so much for coloring. That's just me personally. Some people do, and it's great, and that's fine. So my preference for coloring a card like this would be the blender pens. And I would just do a water background with the paint on something else instead. I just find this slightly harder to do. I guess the tip's a bit softer, I don't know. More reason for error. How's that? So you can see the three greens. Granny Apple Green, Old Olive Green, Garden Green. Okay, so it depends on which pencil packs they're from. And like I say, these are a bit older, and they have revamped a few of the colours because some of them have retired. But I think I'm using all the colours that are current. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on this one. We will put a bit of twine across. So we're just going to go across twice and tie our bows about there to there. Cut. I just think the twine adds to it. Thanks, twine. Do you like to add twine or ribbon or something like that to your cards? I mean, it's mainly a stamping card, and there's nothing wrong with a card like that. But if you just want to add a bit more to it. All right, so that goes, oops, stick that down, stick it down on this side. If I'm winding backwards and forwards a few times, then I would peel it and then stick it down as I go, but just because I'm doing it twice, I'm going to do it like that. So this baker's twine comes in a pack of 4 colours, I think. I think you've got crumb cake, white, cream, and black. So it gives you a variety of colours, which is quite cool. But the favourite this week is black. Just ties in nicely with the black border. And then with the class, you know, it didn't matter what colour flowers they did, the black works well. All right, so this is on a note card. What have I just done? Not to my computer. So there and here. Any other messages? Might have to try the blend. Yes. Yeah, it would be very nice to colour these with the blend pen. So your blends are these, but remember you would stamp it in Memento if you're using the blends, because blends are alcohol based and then you're using a water ink so that they don't, you want the colours you're colouring with to blend, but not the outside, image of what you've stamped. And I'm using glue because then I've got a chance to slide it down a little bit if I need to. There we go, and then that's going to go on there. The watercolor paper is a slight sort of vanilla-y color as well. It's not as white as the basic white. Can you see a slight difference? I don't know with the lighting if you can. I wouldn't really say it's vanilla, but it's just a slight off-white, I guess. All right, so gluing this down as well. And add a bit of bling. So whether you want pearls or rhinestones or whatever you've got that match in the colours that work. The good thing with rhinestones and things is they will go with anything. Where are we? Oh yeah, we've got a couple left on here. Let's see if these ones will come off easily or not. I mean, a couple of different sizes is probably good, but I'm just trying to use up what I've got. So take your pick tool is definitely good for doing this kind of thing. So I've got it with the die brush on the end, but you can have it with the putty on the end too. All right, let's have a little bit of a tidy up here. Move our colouring pencils out the way. So, and I'll show you what we've made, then I'll just go over cleaning the Stays On ink. All right, so this is what we made today. That one and this one. Okay. So this one here is standard size watercolor pencils and blender pens, stamped and stays on. This one is stamped and stays on using watercolor paper and our water painters. So there you go. Do you have a preference? So let me just show you some of the other cards I've made. So variations. Here we go. Another purpley one with old olive. One with some red. And there's another little coffee and cards one which has got some yellow. So you can stamp directly on it, or if you mess it up, stamp it. This one was punched. It was an older punch. But you can just trim it with your snips or something too. There you go. Do you have a favourite? Is Baker's Twine in 5 colours, black, white, cream, grey, and crumb cake. You might be right. There might be 5 colours actually. Thank you for that. I know there's definitely a few in the pack, so that's quite good. And then you can pull out the colours that you find that work with that particular project. So cleaning stays on. I don't have a, what do you call it? A paper towel, but I've got a white. Maybe we can just, I wouldn't recommend a white, but just for today, we will use it. Okay, so where is my big stamp? So just kind of go over it like this, and you'll see. Can you see what I'm doing? And it will get, even the block, I have to wipe it off the block too, because it will stain on that. So ideally with a dry paper towel. get all that colour out. And then what I tend to do is, if I need to, I'll go over it again if there's some bits that aren't quite coming out. So once I've dried it, cleaned it and things, I will still also use my stamping mist over it, because that just kind of conditions it as well. So there you go. So cleaning it with Stays On. So you can kind of look at the butterfly, it's still got some of the black ink on it until I clean it. Where's my Stays On cleaner gone? All right, so you get the idea. Very good. So any questions about the stamps, the watercolor pencils, the blender pens, watercolor painters, or the stamp set I use? Remember that one is Spotlight on Nature. I featured this or some card examples in my newsletter too this week, and I mentioned that my live today was using this. So if you're not on my newsletter, I'd encourage you to sign up, because you'll that wasn't my tutorial for this week, but just some examples of what I've been making. But I include other tutorials and exclusive information. Remember the dies that coordinate with this particular set, so they're very cool as well. Buy them as a bundle, and then you save 10%, which is awesome. All right, so just a couple of reminders of what's happening this month. So we've had the release of online exclusives. So that's a new set of products that have come out in July. They aren't in a catalogue, they're just shown in the online store, and it's a variety of sort of Christmassy things to do with different seasons. Like there's a cool tree set which uses masks, other sets and things as well. So you check it out online and you can see what's available. And if you are purchasing anything this month, then that's great, because you can earn bonus day points or vouchers or whatever. So if you spend $110 in New Zealand on your order, so that's not shipping, but on your order, then you'll get sent an $11 coupon voucher, which you get to redeem in August. So spend $110, get one voucher. Spend $220, get two vouchers. Spend $330, get three vouchers, plus you're over $300 and you get stamping rewards. So that's a $330 is the correct, is a good spot if you've got bigger orders or combine with your friends, and you'll get even more points. So stamping rewards on that order, and then the vouchers to redeem later. And you also may have seen that I've been using this glass mat. So that is now available for purchases for customers too, $126. And that is for the glass mat. Excellent. All right, let me come back to my table, or back to me, I mean. See if I can switch it back. Here we go. I'll just see if there's any other questions and things. Yes, here I am. All right. Oops, there are a few new comments. Excellent. All right. So yeah, so if you're watching later or you come in later, feel free to ask any questions. Let me know if I can help you anyway. I just encourage you, if you're not on my mailing list, please sign up. I'd love to share information with you, exclusive tutorials, and keep you up to date with what's happening, inspire you with your paper crafting. And if you would like to order, you can order through my online store yourself, or contact me and I'll help you with your order. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. So thanks so much. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. That way you'll be kept up with updates and things too. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks.